Heidi Postle coming back for A+ Maths. Hope you're enjoying the videos. Today I'd like to do the last video on theory for coordinate geometry on number plane, and that's finding the equation of a line. There are a few ways that you can find the equation of a line given certain information. I like to use the rule y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. It'll be rule number 4, and you'll see that there are two options. You can either use y equals mx plus c or y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. If you use y equals mx plus c, you need to know the gradient, m, and you need to know the y-intercept, or you need to find the y-intercept. No problem. If you use y minus y1 equals mx minus x1, you also need to have the gradient, or find the gradient, and you need to have a point that lies on the line, x1, y1. Now personally, I prefer to use the second rule. It's a personal preference, and a lot of your teachers might prefer to use the first rule. It doesn't really make much difference. I might show you how to do both of them, but I would predominantly use the second rule. Again, it's a personal preference. One is not better than the other, and sometimes it's better or quicker to use y equals mx plus c. And as you get more experience, you'll be able to tell which rule is the best one to use. So let's get started with some examples. Find the equation of the line passing through the point 3, 4 and having gradient of 2. So we have a choice, remember, we can use y equals mx plus c from rule number 4, or we can use y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. Like I said, I like to use the second one, y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. I need to have a gradient, which they've told me in the question, gradient equals 2, and I need to have a point that's on the line, which I also have because the question tells me that the line to go through the point 3, 4. So that point 3, 4 becomes my x1, y1. Label it because it makes everything easier when you label things, then you know where it's supposed to go. Don't get lazy and don't label it. People who get lazy get things wrong. We don't want to be getting things wrong. All I need to do now is sub everything in the right spot. Y minus y1 equals m, which is 2, x minus x1, which is 3. And now I just need to expand the brackets. Y minus 4 equals 2x minus 6, and I'll put it into the form y equals mx plus c for the moment. Y equals 2x minus 6 plus 4 is minus 2. So that's the equation of the line going through the point 3, 4 with a gradient of 2. Well, that wasn't very difficult, was it? Just remember, every single time you're asked to show that the equation of a line is something or find the equation of a line, you write down y minus y1 equals x minus x1 and do the question. Okay, generally speaking, people think that having fractions is a lot more difficult, so let's try one with a fraction. Find the equation of a line passing through the point -2, 1 and having a gradient of 2/3. Exactly the same method. We like to write down the rule first. Y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. Let's write down what we know. We know that the gradient is 2/3, and we know that the point x1, y1 that we need to substitute in is -2, 1. So now that we know exactly what we need to substitute into the equation, we can now go over here and pretty much do the question. So we have y minus y1, which is 1, equals m, which is 2/3, bracket, x minus x1, which is minus 2. So minus 2, that's going to change that to a plus. I hope everybody's okay that I made that a plus because it was minus minus. Now this is a different scenario because I've got the 2/3 out the front. You can expand the brackets using the 2/3, but I don't like to do that. And if you've watched the videos that I've done on equations, you will know that I get rid of the fraction first. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. And if I multiply both sides by 3, everything gets a term. There's only one term on the right-hand side, so I only need to multiply once, and then I write down what's left. I then expand my brackets and simplify and rearrange. And for the moment, I'm just going to leave the answer like that. All right, let's do one that seems like it's a little bit more complicated. Find the equation of the line perpendicular to x plus 3y equals 2 that passes through the point 2, 3. Again, what are we asked to find? The equation of a line. And we know to find the equation of the line we use rule number 4, which is y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. Don't make the question complicated and go, oh, I don't know what to do, etc., etc. It's asking for the equation of a line, so you need to find the equation of a line. Don't get all flustered and try to do something complicated. We need a gradient and a point. Somewhere in the question they must tell us the gradient and a point that lies on that line. Let's read it again. Find the equation of a line perpendicular to. If two lines are perpendicular, what do you know? We know that the gradients have to multiply to give -1. So we want our line to be perpendicular to that line. So that means that we need to find the equation of that line in the right form, y equals mx plus c. So let's rearrange it. Divide both sides by 3. We now know that the gradient of this line is -1/3. We know that when lines are perpendicular, they have to multiply to give -1. So if this line is -1/3, I need to find the number that's going to go here that's going to multiply together to give -1. So I can solve this if I'd like, times both sides by 3, and then I get m equals 3. Some people can just look at it straight away and figure it out. That's fine. If not, then you work it out. So we now know that the gradient is 3. We need a point that lies on the line. We know that this point up here is x1, y1. So we're going to do the point x1, y1 from the question. And we put everything in where it belongs. The gradient was 3. I expand the brackets and I then rearrange it so that it's in the right form. And that's the equation of our line. Hopefully you're starting to get the hang of these questions. Find the equation of the line parallel to y equals 2/3 x plus 1 that passes through the origin. So we're being asked to find the equation of a line, so hopefully everybody knows we need to write down y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. Don't make it complicated, don't do anything different. We need the gradient and we need a point that lies on the line. We're told that these two lines are parallel. If they're parallel, then we know they have the same gradient. It's much easier than perpendicular. So, parallel lines have the same gradient. The gradient of this line is 2/3. Hopefully everybody gets that, the number in front of the x, because it's in the right form. Makes it easier, so the gradient is 2/3. And what's the point that my line will be passing through? It says that it has to pass through the origin. What was the origin? 0, 0. So that's the coordinates of the point that I need to use. And now that I've got the point and the gradient, I just need to substitute it in. So y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. Again, I like to multiply by 3 to get rid of the fraction. So 3y, 3 times nothing is nothing, equals 2 lots of, well, x minus nothing. I expand the brackets, and I'm done. That's the equation of the line. Just remember, the only thing that they could possibly ask me is to leave my answer in a particular form, and we'll get to that later. Let's have a look at question number 5, which is worded slightly differently to the other ones. Show that the equation of the line parallel to 2x plus 3y equals 5, passing through 0, 3 is 2x plus 3y equals 9. A lot of students find these questions really difficult. I, on the other hand, actually really like these questions because I see it as the question is asking me to find the equation of the line. Even though it says show that the equation of the line blah 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 is. Show that the equation of the line is that. So what really are they asking me to do? They're really asking me to find the equation of the line that is parallel to that, passing through the point that, and then they give me the answer. This is like having a question in an exam that's given you the answer. So you know that you're right at the end. So I've always really liked these questions. You just have to know how to interpret the question so that you actually know what to do. So instead of reading show that the equation, let's change the word show that and just make it find. So it's find the equation of the line parallel to that passing through 0, 3. And this is the answer. That's what I'm supposed to get as my answer. If I don't get that, then I've done something wrong. So let's do exactly what we've been doing before. Find the equation of the line. Okay, y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. I need a gradient and I need a point. So my gradient, I know I need to get from that, they're parallel. If the lines are parallel, they have to have the same gradient. So I need to first rearrange this equation to make it in the form y equals mx plus b. Well, we should be getting good at this by now. And I know that my gradient is minus 2/3 and my point is obviously 0, 3. Don't forget to label it x1, y1. It doesn't matter how good you are, always label it so that we don't make a mistake somewhere else. And now we have to substitute all the numbers into the right spot. Y minus y1 equals mx minus x1, which is 0. I like to multiply by 3. Hopefully everybody's got the hang of that by now. And then I expand the brackets and simplify. 2 times 0 is 0. Now, I look at what I've got and I look at what they've got. I've got all the same numbers, but they're not in the right order. So all I have to do now is just put it in the same order that they do. They move the 2x to this side, they leave the 3y over that side, and they put the constant over there. And I'm done. I have now shown that the line parallel to that, passing through that point, is that line there. So it's nowhere near as hard as what people seem to think that these questions are. My next video is going to be a revision on all the rules that we've done together, putting them all together and knowing which rule to use when. And that's when this topic gets a little bit more complicated for most people. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. See you soon.